It's the new Wabu Order podcast. We talk to build our culture up, we getting all that. We speak well to eat well, we giving them all facts. So like, share, subscribe if you know that you pro-black. Let's grow.
We are back. Welcome to the new Wabu Order podcast, the dopest podcast in the world. But I'm happy to be back. I've been gone for like 6 months. Now I'm just back to give y'all this work. But today I got a special guest with me, Miss Alyshia Merchant. What's going on, sis?
Nothing much.
You into real estate, right? What's so important about real estate? Why it ain't cool for me to just rent the rest of my life?
Because you're throwing away money, essentially. I think that it's been, and just we're talking about we as a people.
Yes.
So I feel like it's not something that's talked about in Black households because we don't have a history of even being able to do it. We weren't even able to own homes. So it wasn't even a thing. It was a hard process. Now we have fair housing laws and things that pass to make this process easier for us. But we also don't grow up having those conversations about credit or about, how much money you need to purchase a home. We don't have parents that can pass down money to us so that we can purchase a home because they didn't purchase a home so that they could set us up financially. So what do? We just do what our parents did. We rent homes and we think it's okay and we're all hyped up about it like, oh my God, I just got this new apartment and it's nothing wrong with it, right? But we're just essentially just throwing money down the drain and we're building someone else's wealth. So that house that you're living in that you're paying $1,500 a month for, you are actually paying someone else's equity. And when they're ready to cash out, they'll kick you out of the house. They will sell it.
Yeah.
I'll probably bring them a buyer.
Yeah.
And you're out here trying to find another place to rent. So
but what about the people that say, I can't afford to buy a house, right? Or I can't afford the upkeep. Because like, say you live in an apartment, the pipes bust. All right, you call the landlord like, yo, Slim, I need these pipes fixed. But if you buying a house, that's yours. So you got to fix it, especially with things like this hurricane, people's basements flooding and stuff like that. So you got to make sure you always have an emergency piece of money somewhere, basically.
Kinda. So that's a double-fold question. So first and foremost, I want to say, as long as you don't waive your home inspection, the goal is to eliminate a lot of this upfront, right? So as long as it's not an as-is house, we're going to get our inspections and we're going to try to get the seller to do as much of that stuff as possible when moving in. So for my first-time home buyers, we're not moving into houses that need a new roof or that's on its last leg. I want a roof that has at least 5 years or more of remaining life. Same thing with AC units. I don't like to see them on their last legs. Furnaces, those are your high dollar items. So in your inspection, you want to make sure that those things are working in working order.
So you got to ask them like, yo, Slim, when that last time that roof was done?
No, we're going to get inspection with our own inspectors to look at that roof to tell us.
Like your inspector or I get an inspector?
Right. Well, you or me. Like, so let's say we buy a house, you're my client, right?
Yeah. So
9 times out of 10 first-time home buyers don't know an inspector. I have one. You can also bring your own if you want. But my inspector is going to go through that house, pick it apart from top to bottom, and then we're going to go back to the seller and say, hey, can you fix this? So first and foremost, we're eliminating most of that up front, right? So secondly, to answer the second part of your question, yes, as a home owner, there are responsibilities, right? But let's look at it like this. Okay, you have a pipe burst and it costs you $200, $300 to get fixed, right? You have rented for 15 years, right? You have paid for that pipe over and over and over and over and over, renting. And on top of that, that money is going nowhere. It's essentially just going down the drain. And the things like the hurricane, like floods and stuff, that's covered by your homeowner's insurance. So your homeowner's insurance is actually rolled into your mortgage. So that's included in your mortgage payment. So those people are probably going to get a whole new basement.
And you have to get that, right?
You do. And it's actually wrapped into your mortgage. Unless you put 20% down, which most people aren't, it's rolled into your mortgage payment. So your taxes and your insurance is in your mortgage payment. So that it's unfortunate, but they're going to get a whole new house, possibly. Or my sister's pipe burst and she got all new flooring in her basement. My nephew got a whole remodeled black bathroom.
Oh.
So people don't talk about that. And they don't talk about the fact that you have paid for that plumbing so many times by paying rent.
Yeah.
Also, you don't think that your landlord, so your landlord's probably, his mortgage payment may be $600 a month, because you got to think when they bought those old houses, rates was probably God knows how low.
Yeah.
and you're paying what, 15, maybe some people $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
It ain't hurting his pocket to get that little pipe fixed. But you still wasting your money.
He gonna tell you to do it.
Yeah. Or some I'm gonna tell you to do it, some I'm gonna do it for you. They'll increase your rent.
Is that against the law? Like,
Virginia is not a rent control state.
what that means?
There's not a lot of rules. Now we do have there are slumlord rules. So like there are certain things like if your landlord is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, like say you got a hole in your roof and there's water coming in and they won't do it, you can go to the courts and petition for them to basically they'll hold it in escrow until they fix it and they won't release
the rent?
The rent until the landlord fixes it.
So you still gotta pay it?
Yes, but don't not pay the courts. So you can go to the court and they will escrow it for you until they do it. So there are rules to protect, you against slumlords and things like that. But why even go through it? Like, yes, you're going to run into some stuff as homeowners. And like I said, a lot of those things are covered by your homeowner's insurance with the deductible. Same thing with a car. But that's that's almost like saying, well, my car may mess up, so I'm just going to ride the bus every day.
Yeah. Man.
That was good, wasn't it?
Nah, because for real, like, I didn't know some of the things that you said. And I think probably a lot of people that's going to be watching this didn't know everything that you was saying. That's why we need people to, instead of gatekeep, spread that knowledge. I see you do all types of classes and workshops for the community. Speak on that a little bit.
Well, it's crazy like how God kind of like all of this kind of led up to this, right? Because I used to be so afraid of public speaking. I didn't like public speaking, but I got forced into it when I became a lupus advocate after being sick. And so that's literally like my life. So when I got into real estate, I was like, okay, Alyshia, you've been an advocate for all these years. You love it. I love giving. I love educating. I love inspiring. So I wanted to take that same passion with me into real estate. So I knew that's what I was going to be doing. Also, when I first got into real estate, like I wasn't able to sell anything because nobody was looking at me as a realtor. Like nobody was listening to me. Like I was like, hey y'all, I'm a realtor. They were still looking at me as a lupus advocate. They're like, girl, we got lupus. We want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about real estate with you.
I think they thought you was the singer Tweet. That's what I thought.
Nobody says that anymore. No one says that anymore. But no one was really listening to me as a realtor. And I'm not a salesperson. I hate salespeople. I always tell people I like people until I realize they're trying to sell me something and I don't like them anymore. Yeah. So I didn't want to be that person to anybody. So I actually wasn't being successful at first because I wasn't being my authentic self. I wasn't being Alyshia, which
was being too nice.
No, I wasn't in my element. Like my element is my authenticity, like my story, like who I am. So I stepped away from real estate. It actually took 6 months to just learn. And I was like, Alyshia, what do you want your clients to look like? I'm like, I want my clients to look like me. I want my clients to look like me. I want my clients to be disenfranchised like I currently was when I got into real estate. And the only way to do that was to be myself and to tell my story. Because then, sometimes the realtors are looked at as like greedy and judgmental, and especially black people. And let's be real, like us as black people, we funny about who we tell our business to. Yeah. So I wanted to create a safe space because I know how my people are. Yeah. I wanted to create a safe space. So like all these years, Wabu, I kid you not, while I was getting all these awards, I was featured in Time Magazine, I was featured in Career Living Magazine, I've got award from the mayor, I'm doing all this stuff, running my nonprofit, NIH boards and things like that, and I'm broke. Like I'm on Section 8 and disability. And that's one part of my life that like nobody knew. Like I was very authentic about my hair loss, about my journey, about lupus and everything, but that my financial stuff, I kept to myself. Yeah. And so when I started actually sharing it and coming out and telling my story, then my business pretty much like took off from there because then people was just like, wait a minute, Alyshia not gonna judge me. Alyshia was on Section 8. She's not gonna judge me. She's on disability. Yeah. Well, then it led to, I learned about all this stuff and it was like you said, gatekeep. And I'm thinking like, you telling me that I could have brought a home while I was on Section 8 all them years.
Hold on, you could buy a home on Section 8?
I do it all the time. I work alongside running redevelopment and housing.
Hold on, you gotta tell the people that too though. You gotta get them jewels right there.
I'm gonna give y'all a lot of jewels. Yeah. So upon me doing my investigation, my research, interviewing lenders, and just learning about how to create generational wealth in the African American community, I learned so much stuff. And one of the biggest eye openers for me was that while I was on Section 8, I could have bought a house. There's a housing choice voucher program where all you have to do is qualify for a home through a lender, which your score needs to be at 620. And when you get that pre-approval letter, you go back to them, you can purchase one of their properties as a homeowner, and they will pay your mortgage for up to 15 years, a portion of it. Same way they would do your rent, right?
Yeah.
But you're creating wealth at the same time. So these were like conversations that people weren't talking about, which is that you can buy on Section 8. I started talking about, the fact that your credit score only need to be at 620 in order to qualify for a grant. You can actually buy a 582 and put 3.5% down with FHA, so you don't have to be at 620. I just like for my clients to be so that they can qualify for a grant. I started talking about just like programs and things in the community and doing those homebuyer classes and workshops, and education was key. Yeah. Knowledge was power.
Yeah, because one thing we lack information.
We do. And it was just like, people just started coming out the woodworks, like people, maybe they didn't have the credit, but they had the money. All right, boom, let's put you into an FHA loan, put 3.5% down. Maybe they had the credit. The credit was 800. It's a lot of people sitting on 800, 700, 800 scores, but they don't have the money. Boom, I got a grant for $12,500. So I found out what the people needed, and I provided a solution.
So has that been working when you found out what people needed? Because like sometimes people don't believe stuff. Like you could tell them, like, yo, with Section 8, you could do this, or you don't have to have some people think you need millions. Like, when I was growing up, I thought if you lived in a house, you was rich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, misconception.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, until, now I know you could be wild broke living in a house, but people just don't know, like you said, the misconceptions. And has that been a hard part of your journey, getting people to listen?
Nope. I think that's been the easiest part of my journey, because I've always been a writer. I've always been a storyteller. So I've always shared my story. So I literally just started opening up and sharing my story. And also the proof is in the progress, right? So at the end of the day, people started coming to me like, wait a minute, you sold my cousin and my aunt and my sister a house. And they didn't put no money down. I want you to be my realtor. Or, dang, I've been watching you on Facebook and I've been seeing you close all these deals. If you do it for so-and-so, I think you can do it for me. Yeah. Or I've been watching your posts and you say I can do this. So it's like the results don't lie, numbers don't lie at the end of the day. So yeah, you talk it, but
you've been using your Facebook for good.
For good, yeah, just putting it out there. And then these are people, this is our community. Roanoke is a small place, so you know these people I'm closing with. Yeah. And you're seeing it, you know where some of these people come from. And then word of mouth is the biggest marketing tool. Like, I've never used a lead as a realtor. A lot of realtors use leads.
What's
so that's like where Zillow, like my brokerage partners with Zillow. And most agents get a phone call, like their phone is just ring, and then they pick it up and somebody wants to see a house, and then you show up at that house and you try to hopefully make them your client, get them to sign something. I've never used a lead my whole career. It's always been word of mouth, because
so basically
results
references.
Don't lie. People, organic. So I don't have to pay Zillow.
Well, if somebody watching this and they call you for about a house, I need some snaps on that. I need something. I need 2%, 3%. I need some type of money on that, man, for the reference.
Okay.
Because that's who, if y'all looking for a house, y'all can go to this young lady right here.
Yeah. And it's a lot of amazing realtors out here.
Nah, definitely. People. Yeah. I mess with a few of them.
Yeah. I always try to tell people that I'm like, it's a lot of great ones out here. The key for me is not as much, because I thank you, Jesus. My business is fantastic, but I believe in support, and I just feel like knowledge is power. Like, my biggest thing is just like seeing it happen for people, regardless of who you go to.
Like, but seeing the smiles on their faces.
Seeing the smiles on their face, seeing them tap into wealth. I don't care who you choose. Just make sure that you are utilizing the benefit, the grants. Like, so many people tell me, I've had a lot of people that came to me and said, I wish I would have knew you when I bought my first house. I put 3.5% down, or I put 5% down. I had to tap into my 401k. I had no clue. Nobody talked to me about first-time home buyer grants.
Like, I heard, like, with that first-time home buyer grant, like, after a few years, you can qualify again.
So only if you, like, so in the state of Virginia, let's say you sold the house, and you decided, like, some people come to me and they say, Alyshia, I had someone today reach out to me, and then she's like, I bought my house in 2020, but I can't afford it right now. I want to sell it, cash out, put myself in a better financial position, and in a couple of years buy again. I have clients do that all the time. That's the beauty of homeownership. People can cash out, make $100,000, pay off their debt, relax for 3 years, and then come back. In the state of Virginia, if it's been 3 years since you've owned a residential property, you are now considered a first-time homebuyer again. You are re-eligible for all of those perks.
And you know, right now, the big thing is these prices for these houses. What's going on with that?
I think it's better.
For real?
I do. So I just talked to somebody about this today in a buyer's consultation. So like a lot of people don't, I think when you understand what happened to the market back in 2020, it helps you like rationalize it. Like,
now, what happened to the market?
What happened?
Politics?
No. Well, yeah, a little bit. COVID, which I still think is politics.
Yeah,
but anywho, COVID happened, and when COVID happened, rates dropped to like the lowest, like historically, like 2%, right? So people, mostly wealthier people that already had wealth, seasoned buyers, they wanted those rates, and because where was they ever going to get houses? They cost $500,000 and basically paid $500,000 and paid half of that for the house, like $250,000, right? So what they did was they were coming in and doing what was called appraisal gaps. So basically what that means is, so an appraiser, what their job is to come into the market when somebody buys a house, is to checks and balances. Yeah. And their job is to see what a house sold for in the last 6 months. And then they compare it to the house, the subject property, and that's how they determine the value. Either you have equity, which means it appraises for more, which is great, or it appraises for less. If it appraises for less, we ask the seller to drop the price, right? So that's what keeps the market stable. That's the checks and balances. So they were coming in doing what's called appraisal gaps. Yeah. So that meant I don't care if the appraisal come in low, I'm going to cover that gap. So you had houses that was worth $200,000. The people were paying $260,000 for, which is $60,000 over. It might only appraise for $220,000, but they were coming in and they were doing that gap with that other $40,000. But now what happened? Now all of the rest of the houses on that street are now worth $260,000, and they were never worth $260,000. Yeah. Ever. Mm-hmm. So that went on for a long time, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse because people basically were like cutting the appraisals out of the equation, and the market was going up. Well, last year, in the end of last year, rates went up to almost 8%. So what happened? Buyers backed away because they're like, buyers weren't stupid no more. Yeah. I'm not buying with an 8% rate. Yeah. So what happened was it turned into a buyer's market, because whenever the buyers back away, and they have more of an upper hand. Seller's market means that it's more buyers out there than it is houses, right? So they have the upper hand. When buyers started backing away, it was no longer a seller's market. They didn't have the upper hand. So what does that mean? That means that people started, now we have the upper hand. We can come in lower. So buyers at that point were starting to come in lower, asking for less, asking for things that you couldn't ask for in the seller's market. So the price started coming down. So then what happened 6 months later? All those houses that sold for less, now the market is shifted. Because now those houses are back to where they were worth. So the market's not crashing, it's actually corrected. Like,
what you saying that, right? You know, like we got a new influx of Latinos. Mm-hmm. And from what I'm hearing, they're coming in and they're buying the asking price. Is that like basically chipping up the market here?
The Hispanic market?
No, I'm just talking about for this whole area. So the Hispanics coming in and they paying basically the high for everything.
You're not. So I've actually tapped into the Hispanic market heavily this year. And so I've sold a lot of houses to the Hispanic community. I actually have a translator on my team that helps me with it. And they're just like us. They're not paying over. They're not chipping away at the market. They're just like us. Like they're trying their best. They're getting grants.
Some of these is neighborhoods, people's whole generations have lived in these neighborhoods, and the next couple of years, you're probably not going to even be able to go to that neighborhood.
Because they're going to be Hispanic neighborhoods?
Because it's going to be all Hispanic neighborhoods.
But you know what? I got an answer that you ain't going to like. What? It's Black people's fault. We don't want to live in our own neighborhoods.
No, that's a fact. We get a couple of dollars. We running to the county.
And I don't get it.
No, I don't get it. I truly believe that's sucker shit. You get some money, you're going to run to the county, put your kids in them schools, and them kids is going to be tortured in them schools. And that happens with everybody who goes to the county. Yeah. We can lie and say it don't happen, but it's just the truth. But I agree with you.
I think that sometimes we
don't sell grandma's house, basically.
I think that the Hispanic community is very humble. I feel like from where they came from, I've been to Mexico, so I've seen it. And I think where they come from, they're just like, this is better than where I came from. And Black people, at some point, we've lost that. And we feel like it's not good enough. I don't want to be. And I get it. There are some areas that I guess, maybe some people just don't want to live in. But
give or take, we got more red tape than they do. They don't get the red tape that we get. That we get. I'm talking about just in business and everything. There's a lot of roadblocks for us. This is why we can't. It's harder for us. We got to have everything in order.
I don't know. I can't say on a business aspect because I don't know what they go through that. But I will say, I feel like, in my opinion, sometimes we as people have a harder time going through our underwriting process, and we have a lot of red tape. But I've seen my Hispanic clients go through it too. I've seen them ask for more information about their passports, even though they've provided their passports.
If somebody's illegal, say somebody's here illegally, can they buy a house? Because they could join the police department and do all type of stuff.
It's harder. Like you can, if they have like a I-10, then they can sometimes put 20% down and still purchase a home. And I only know of one bank in the area that allows that, and that's Blue Eagle Credit Union. But if they have an I-10, then they can put more down. If they have their passports and stuff like that, then they can actually purchase a home, get grants and everything. But I've seen them, like, sometimes I feel like, for my clients, I feel like, and we're back talking about Black people now, right? I feel like I really have to advocate for us because I feel like sometimes the process is a lot harder than it is for my non-Black clients, But it's so funny, when I shifted to the Hispanic market this year, I noticed some of the same things. Like, I'm like, well, why are you asking for that? Or why does that matter? Or why are you asking for that document when they have a passport and they have a driver's license? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like minorities as a whole, now that I've kind of gotten to know that community, I feel like a lot of us as a whole, the country is changing. The country is turning into a brown country. And they're trying their best to stop it. Me and my mom just talked about this the other day.
Let's keep it real.
But
We the only brown people.
We the only real brown people. But it's no longer what it used to be. It's changing, and it's changing quick, and it's changing with a lot of minorities.
I love it.
I like it too. I love it a lot.
Yeah, I love it. But it's for different reasons. It ain't. I'm not caping for nobody else but my people. But
I know you ain't one.
Yeah. I'm just.
I know, but I don't know nothing else.
Yeah.
But I am too. I'm very much pro-Black, and I talk about it a lot on my page. When I came into real estate, I came in really loud, unapologetically for the people, and so that's always been my passion.
That's what's up. I seen the other day you was in Detroit. What's going on in Detroit? They still got them houses for $1 out there?
Listen, I saw this house across the street from the Motown building that's for sale. I think it's like $250,000, and I'm like, that would be a bomb coffee shop.
Across the street from the
real Motown house.
Museum, right?
Yes. Right across the street. And the museum was so amazing, like visiting. So I was actually there for one of my preferred lenders. I have 3 lenders, and one of them got to pick 3 agents to fly down there on a paid trip and basically go to United Wholesale Mortgage, UWM. They're like the biggest mortgage in the country, number 1 in the country. And so they took us down there to learn about like the progressiveness, what's coming in the market, new products. And it was just like a crazy experience, just getting ahead of the game, talking about what the future is in real estate right now with the market rates and stuff like that, and going behind the scene and kind of seeing like underwriters and what they do. I got to see like the inside of the business. So it was real cool. But on the flip side, I took my mom with me, and we kind of got some of the culture while we was there.
Earlier, you were saying you were speaking on lupus, right? You a lupus advocate?
Wholeheartedly.
What's going on with that? You have a foundation or something like that?
Making Lupus look good.
Yeah. So what's going on with that Making Lupus look good thing?
It's actually about to be up and running again. So
you took a break?
I did. Not lupus advocacy, but MLOG was kind of like, I stopped that. Everything took a pause when COVID happened because, of course, we have weakened immune systems. So I had to stop the support group meetings. I had to stop everything because it was too much, to compromise people's immune systems. But my heart has always been it, because I live with it every day. I'm tired every day. I'm tired right now. Like I said, when I came in here, I feel puffy today. So when I woke up this morning, I felt it. My body felt it. So I'm going to always be a lupus advocate first. It's lupus, then it's real estate. That's why I'm the lupus realtor, because it's always going to be lupus. It's going good. I've been feeling it, like God kind of tugging at me to get back into it. And he's been kind of like nudging me, and little things have been happening, like running into people that's been asking me, like, when we're going to get our support group back open. I feel like now we're learning how to live with COVID and things like that. So I do feel like it's time. So I have found my recipient and the person that I want to help. She's was recently diagnosed within the last year or so, lost all her hair. She's got skin rash and stuff. I went to school with her, and she's really struggling with her self-esteem. So we're actually working on getting back in the books of like doing the photo shoots, the makeovers and stuff like that. So it's about to come back.
As far as medicine goes with lupus, and there's been a lot of money in research and different medicines. Where's that going? Like, do you think it's progressing?
I do.
As far as with the medicines?
I think the people like now live, we have a higher life expectancy than we had a couple of years ago. I do think that not one person's case is different. So I meet some people that have lupus, and they're like, I got baby lupus. You know, they're just tired. Then I meet some people that are like myself, where every day they kind of have like a symptom. You know, I have a fake brain tumor because of lupus. So
a what?
A fake brain tumor.
A fake brain tumor?
It's called pseudotumor.
Pseudotumor. Yeah, okay.
And it's actually like, lupus is the great imitator. So that's actually how I became a patient advocate, because I went through the kidney thing with lupus, right? And I went through chemo, and a lot of patients with lupus have kidney issues. And so they kind of knew that's what it was up front. But then when it came back in my brain in 2016, they kept saying, nope, it's not lupus, and just threw me on seizure medicines because I was having seizures. Yeah. And I was like, I don't really fit the criteria for this. I started doing my own research on pseudotumor, and either people were overweight or they had high amounts of vitamin A in their systems. And I kept telling my doctor, I don't think this is right. And also, I felt like the seizure medicines would make me crazy. Like, one part of my brain would say run, and I'd take off running down the steps. And the other part of my brain is like, Alyshia, why are you running? And I was just being really manic. And so I went outside of Realtor to get a second opinion. They found out that it was actually lupus. They said it wasn't here, but it was, because we were in a big metropolitan area where they see more cases of it. Yeah. They recognized it. They treated the lupus. And they treated the lupus, and I haven't had a seizure since 2016 because I became my own patient advocate. So, you know, my lupus is a little bit different because I still deal with that. I have to get lumbar punctures and stuff like that. I still deal with the swelling sometimes because I still have the kidney disease from it. You know, I deal with the joint pain and stuff like that. But then I meet people that's got this in kidney failure, or their spleen has ruptured because of lupus, or they died. I've had people in our support group die from it. So it's different levels to it, but I feel like treatment is getting better. Advocacy is stronger now. And I feel like as long as we're taking care of ourselves, listening to our bodies, I think that we can survive with it.
Oh yeah. Like you said, it's coming to look. I have more different avenues to go to than before. Yeah. That's a sad thing. I have a family member that has lupus. And that's definitely a sad thing. So you just basically, with your lupus and the real estate, you just put them together, right? And that's what helped you get over that hump when you quit, because you had to see what was your purpose and all that, right?
I wanted to take my passion with me. And so, like I said, being open, being vulnerable, being authentic, that's where the Lupus Realtor came in at, because it was like my story mixed with my business. But also, like, I wanted to, like, it was very important for me to not forget where I came from. Yeah. And so that's why I kind of joined the two together. And just God told me I was going to be the Lupus Realtor. And he told me in the bathtub one night what my name of my business was. He's, you're going to be the Lupus Realtor, you're going to close deals to heal. And I went for it. But I wanted to mix my passion. Also, because I'm not a salesperson, the only way that I could do that, the only way that I could sell houses was if somehow, some way, my passion was mixed in with it. So that's why I do like the lunch on the Lupus Realtors, the giveaways. There's a lot of things that I do behind closed doors for clients and never reach the surface. You don't have to, because the Bible says don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. But financially, sometimes, there are things that I do for clients to get them to the closing table. I I don't look at money the way a lot of people look at money. Money is great. It's changed my life, but I didn't have it a couple of years ago. So whenever I can be a blessing, I try to be.
Shout outs to Palms TV. If y'all looking for some designs, videography, DJing, please holler at Jamie Robinson, Palms TV.
Yo, shout out to Palms TV. We over here moving and grooving.
Give your shout outs and stuff like that.
Shout out to all my clients that have supported me. I'm grateful to have sold close to 130 homes in 3.5 years. So
that's a milestone, right?
100 was a milestone back this summer. And so I'm grateful personally for the outpouring of community support. Like, that's a lot of houses in 3.5 years. It's a lot of trust, you know? So shout out to my clients and to my lenders, because, my lenders are really good and really patient, really knowledgeable. A lot of lenders don't want to do the grant programs because it's a lot more paperwork and a lot more work in general. And so I think I've got a really good team, and I've got a lot of my clients are so loyal, like super loyal.
Can I ask you a question? What drives you to be as successful as you are?
That's a loaded question for me. So I probably skipped over this. So when back in like 2018, there was kind of like a shift, right? Where I just started realizing, or had this pulling feeling that God had more for me. And I didn't know what it was, but I felt it. And so, but prior to getting sick, I was always a hard worker. Like, I jumped straight out of high school, started working for Delta Airlines. Then I worked at Wells Fargo, and then I was at Anthem. And Anthem was where I thought I was going to retire at, because I really liked the company. And that same company ended up firing me when I got sick, because they didn't believe I was sick. Because at first I didn't really look sick, right? Yeah. And so then I went on disability. I went on Section 8, and I found so much healing, so much passion, so much like just, I don't know, like fulfillment and helping people. That's when I realized I was a giver, because I didn't get paid a dime when I would do these photo shoots and makeovers, but I was also giving them out of my disability check.
Purpose.
That was my purpose. And so, and I felt like I was making $1 million because I saw this person, because I know what it felt like. I knew what it felt like to lose my hair. I knew what it felt like to have depression. I knew what it felt like to lose all my self-esteem. So I loved giving. But I started getting this feeling in like 2018, like, dang, you know, my daughter was getting older. If y'all got kids, y'all know it was getting more expensive. Yeah. You know, I'm like, my God owns a cat on 1,000 hills. Like, you know, a lot of things as believers, like a lot of people make it's nothing wrong with having money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's some evil people out here that got money. Yeah. So I don't believe that my God wants me struggling. I chose not to believe that. And so I kind of started praying about it. And so I told my mom, I was like, I think I want to try to work again. And she's like, okay. And my mom is very much like, she's a very cautious woman, right? So she's like, well, be careful, because sickness runs in my family, believe it or not. So my mom's on disability. My grandma died from kidney disease. My aunt died from breast cancer. So my mom was just like, just be careful, because they're going to, you know, try to take your disability away. I'm like, Mom, I can't live in fear. Like, I'm going to try to test my body. So I ended up getting a job for a company called Uniform Country. And I made $10 an hour, and I just wanted to test my body. Like, all I wanted to do was see if I could work, because it had been almost a decade. It had been a decade. And like I said, I'm tired every day. Well, I was so happy to go to work. I've never been more excited in my life to make $10 an hour. You would have thought that I was like 16 years old, starting my first job, because I felt like I was being productive again, right?
And, sorry to cut you off, but like your faith, like seeing your faith actually working.
Seeing it working, it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing this, right? But the first thing the system did was they increased my rent, and they sent me a letter saying they were going to decrease my disability. So I'm like, wait a minute, y'all gonna give me a handout, but not a hand up? Because that's kind of how I felt. And so I almost wanted to like quit and just give up. And I remember kind of going into a depression about it, because I'm like, dang, they're ready to cut my benefits off. And this is my comfort zone. So COVID hit, and I stopped working the job because I couldn't work because my immune system. And so at the time, my significant other he always told me I was a realtor, and he was an investor. And he always said, you're a realtor. And again, argue with him. Absolutely not. I'm not a salesperson. Hate salespeople. But at the same time, that seed was planted like for years, you know? And so when 2020 hit, I was like, you know what? I don't know why I want to take the test. Like, let me just take the test and let me just see what happens. If I pass it,
Did you
I'll
study?
take it. I studied day, night. My daughter would come in the room like, Ma, are you going to feed me? Because you have been studying all day long. Like, I took it so seriously. And another thing that I did was, if you look at a lot of my marketing material, I have a blue dress. And I did a photo shoot in that blue dress to speak it into existence before I did the test. Well, I passed the test on the first try. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to be a realtor. This is crazy.
I heard a lot of people
joking.
fail it.
Yeah,
Actually,
I passed
a lot of people fail the realtor test the first
studied.
time.
It took it's hard. So I mean, I was like day, night. And I'm the type of person, once I set my mind to something, I do it. But I passed on the first try, and I was interviewing brokerages, and someone told me about Nest. And I called them and set up an interview, and when I pulled up, I realized I did my photo shoot right in front of the building. Didn't even know it downtown. So I don't believe in coincidences. I'm a confirmation person. So I looked at like, okay, God, that was a God wink. And so that's really what motivates me. It's like, I remember where I came from. I remember what it felt like to be broke. I remember what it felt like to not have. I remember what it felt like when the system was limiting me, like telling me that I couldn't make too much, I couldn't make this. So that's why I advocate for people, and I'm very authentic about like where I came from, my story. I tell people, yes, you can buy with your voucher. Hey, and don't feel ashamed because I was on it too. Or hey, I can help you buy on Section 8. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, on disability, lenders love disability. It's guaranteed income. Come on, let me help you buy a house. So that's what motivates me, is that I'm being very authentic with my
America
market.
was built off of some of these benefits that we didn't get as a people, like the Homestead Act. So before y'all saying like people's looking for some type of handouts, the first settlers here and things like that in America got on through the Homestead Act. The Homestead Act is when they told white countries from Europe to come over here and gave them a certain amount of money, certain amount of land and stuff like that. So this is how they started the wealth here. So I'm saying if you, whatever you could get what you can get.
I tell people that all the time. I'm like, listen, use it or lose it. So if you don't get these benefits and things that are available to you and you just let it go down the drain, then you got to not buy a home for another 3 years before you can utilize it. So yeah. But that's what motivates me, is remembering where I came from.
How important is it to keep God in everything?
Yeah, that's everything for me. Like, I feel like for me, I'm not supposed to be doing anything that I'm doing right now. Like, I was supposed to be on, I remember a doctor coming to my bedside and telling me that Lupus, my best friend was there, and he told me that he pulled my, oh my gosh. So the doctor came in my room and he pulled my wig back because it was students with, Koreans to teaching hospital.
Yeah.
So he pulled my wig back and he showed them my hair loss. He pointed out my scars and he told me that lupus would kill me. And when I died, it would make sure that I died ugly. I kid you not. This is the ER doctor.
Nah, them doctors be bugging out. They don't be.
It was awful.
They be bugging out. Yeah.
And statistically, with like everything that I've been through, like sometimes I think some people just find it hard to believe because they look at me now. And that's why I share so much. I share my pictures. I share pictures of me in the hospital bed. I share pictures of my hair loss. I share like where I came from.
To be that motivation, right?
And then for me, it's a miracle. Like, I feel like I'm a walking miracle. Like, if you had told me 13 years ago that this was going to be my life, I would not have believed it because I was buried. Like, my friends was out partying and stuff. I was 23 years old. I'm looking at everybody out having a blast and I'm in a hospital bed. So it's very, very, and then another part of my testimony that I always take with me is that I laugh, I'm gonna tell you what people tell me at the end, but when I I was raised in church, but I wasn't really like, because I was raised in it, sometimes when you get older, you run away from it. Yeah. So that was me. It was just like, Mom made me go I'm not a morning person. So my mom every Sunday had to get up and go to church, but she planted those seeds. So when I was like 18 years old, I just jumped straight into yes, I was in the work world, but I was also like a model, a fake model. Yeah. I just posted about this the other day. I called myself A. Marie. I was promoting the biggest parties in the city. I was completely into the world. And then I was
Shout outs to Prez. Shout out to my man Prez.
He be saying crazy stuff on TV. Shout out to Prez. I love him.
Yeah, that's my man.
I got to talk to him. We talk at least a couple times a year. I love him. But he saw a lot in me before I saw it in myself, right? But I was also kind of like vain and like be a little bit arrogant, so God dealt with me. I felt like that he allowed me to go through that because it definitely humbled me. And so, but one of the things that my mom said I was wild, and she always told me when I was a kid, and I'm sorry to get off track, and I'm sorry I'm always spiritual.
No,
it's part of my testimony. So she always told me that when I was a child, it was prophesied I was going to be a handmaid for the Lord, and I was like, absolutely not. Like when I tell you I was awful, skipped school, just all kinds of bad stuff. Me, my best friend, and I was like, ain't no way. But she always told me that, and just when I got sick, I remember going through a depression like through the first year, and so I stayed in my mom's house. Like she pretty much took care of me. So I remember getting in her bathtub one night and I was crying. I was really in my feelings and I was boo-hooing crying. And I always told my mom I never heard God's voice, ever. I always felt like I was possessed or something was wrong with me because in church people would be falling out in the spirit, speaking in tongues. Yeah. I never felt any of that. And I was like, something got to be wrong with me or I got a demon inside of me. Something's wrong because I never felt it. And she always told me, well, you don't know when you hear it. You know when you hear it. And that night I felt and I heard God tell me, you don't know, you don't understand now, but one day you will. And it was very informal, just like that, but I felt it, right? And I heard it, but jumped out of the bathtub, ran upstairs to my mom. I was like, Ma, I heard it. I heard God's voice. And she was like, what did you hear? And I told her, and she was like, I know. She's like, that's John 3:17. She's like, that's the scripture. So I know that was God talking to you because you don't even read the Bible. So fast forward, when I started my real estate career, I got back in that same bathtub and I was crying again. That's when God told me I was going to be the Lupus Realtor and close deals to heal. So a lot of people joke and say they want to get my mama's bathtub.
There's some type of energy. Yeah, I was going to say there's some type of energy in that bathtub. But like, speaking of spirits and demons and stuff, you seen that movie, was it Deliverance?
I did. I like scary movies.
What if you sell somebody a house, right, that's haunted? Have you been through that yet?
Not haunted, but I have been in houses that the energy felt wrong, and my client and I felt it, and we'll get out.
Like you heard
my
get
client,
out, one of them type joints?
No.
Oh.
No, but I probably quit being real. I probably wouldn't go to more houses that happen. But, my clients are mostly black, so we ain't really with the shenanigans. So if we feel something, it don't take much for us to go.
Yeah, if we feel something, we gone. Nah, I say that because
two houses that I felt that in.
I grew up in a house that, man, I think that joint was like a portal or something.
I believe it.
So, but like, what do you do? I never knew. Like,
I get out.
No, like, say if somebody actually bought the house, paperwork, signed the seal. And then, TVs is cutting off, doors is slammed.
I ain't never had that happen, so I can't say. I don't know. I guess I help them sell it.
Wow. Nah, because, people be bugging out. They be walking through their house. I think you're a coward talking to the ghosts and stuff. Like, nah.
I got to go. No, I mean, I have stuff happen in my house, like, that I live in now. I just bought my house 2 months ago, but I'm in the process of moving into it. But the place that I've lived in over the last couple of years, I've always been a seer, and my daughter is too. So, like, I remember one time just kind of, like, I see things. So, like, I remember one time I see and feel. Mm-hmm.
Like
when it's
the
over,
little boy from The Sixth Sense?
No, I don't just see dead people walk through my house. Oh. I would be weird. Like, I would not be this person. I would probably be just all geeked out. But when we finish up, I'll show you something. I took a picture of something to me and my daughter.
Nah, I don't want to see it. I got to
show you.
Because them joints be jumping out of devices and might try to jump on me or something like that. It's not going to jump out the device,
but me and my daughter, we saw a doll's face change in our house. And it changed twice. And so, and she used to love Barbies. And I keep the pictures because I never want to forget it. But, my daughter is kind of like me. Like, I've always seen things. I've saw things since I was a kid. And that was when I realized she was like me. But, like, just things happen in the house. Like, one time I was in the bedroom and I was writing a contract and I felt something grab me. And my daughter, like, in the kitchen, where she washes dishes at,
that's like a freak ghost, though. He grabbed you from behind? That's a freak ghost.
Nobody said no. Yeah. Nobody mentioned behind it.
Yeah, but like, when you
now, one person said that. I said I was right off the bed, and it came and it grabbed my legs. But it was crazy because my daughter came running in the room because I screamed. And she said, Ma, I saw it go in your room. Like, she was washing dishes and she saw it turn and go in my room. So I'm very much a spiritual person. I do know that realm exists, and we are protected by it every day.
Well, let's change the subject.
You a little scared? You ain't scared though.
I get me scared in
You work
here.
with veterans?
I do. I love veterans. It's one of my favorite loans.
Yeah, he a veteran.
Yeah, VA loans.
Would they get some type of
VA loans?
VA loans?
Mm-hmm.
Do they get any other type of deals?
Well, they got like
set asides or something.
Yeah, like I know like some brokerages, like Divine Fog, I believe it's one, has like the Home for Heroes type thing. I'm not sure how it works.
That's like if you got wounded, probably.
No, I don't think so. This is for veterans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got the VA loan for yourself and your spouses, and zero money down. They have really good rates and things like that. I work with them all the time.
Well, yeah, you gotta use that VA loan. You ain't used that yet?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to use it because I also want to not just get a home, but also like an investment home on top of getting a home. And I know that I can get up to 4 units, so I'm just trying to figure out how to structure that.
So the best way to structure it is the same way I tell other people that are like I said, I just had a conversation today with a woman who is purchasing a home with the grant, but her long-term goal is to purchase an investment property. So like what I tell people is that use your benefits, use whatever you have now, and then build equity in a house. And then there's a method called the BRRRR method, buy, refinance, repeat. And so it's really popular, and a lot of Black people are really starting to tap into investors. I want to do a Black investor class. That's what I think I'm going to do next, because this has been, a lot of people have been asking me to do one. But basically, you get your home zero money down, or you get it through a grant program or whatever the case may be, and you live in it for a couple of years and you build the equity. Well, in a couple of years, when you're ready to buy your investment property, you pull that. The thing about investment properties that make it so hard is that you need 20% down, and most first-time home buyers don't have that. But if you purchase a home with a grant or zero money down, that money that you've been throwing away from rent, at least now it's going into a forced savings account. So a big portion of that is going into your equity, and equity is what you owe on the home and what the home is worth. So that money in between is yours. So when you're ready to buy that investment property now, you need $30,000 to buy that investment property. You pull it from your equity and you purchase a new home. And then that tenant that's into the new home is going to help you pay that equity loan back along with the new mortgage.
Yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't have to start off with like a fourplex. I would just start off with one home.
I would start off with a single family.
Single family home, and then wait till I build up a certain amount of equity. How much would you recommend?
Well, it depends on what you want. So, I always tell people that the first home is usually not the dream home. The first home is your investment. So the first home is typically what's going to fund the rest of your life in real estate. So either you can sell it, cash out, and buy a new property and put 3.5% down or nothing since you have a VA loan. So you can cash out, purchase another home with zero money down, now buy that investment property and put that 20% down. It's just all situational. Like, I would say live in it. You want to wait at least 6 months before building your equity, but realistically, you're probably going to want to wait a year or two. You're going to want to do upgrades and things like that to the home slowly whenever you can. Like my sister, for example, she bought her home for $195,000 and it's on the market now for $300,000, $310,000.
Wow.
But she also, she brought a home that had pink bathrooms, blue bathrooms. The basement looked like a William Fleming High School hallways. It was... But the location was great. It was in Roanoke County. It checked off all her boxes. It had the bedrooms and baths that she needed, 2 bedrooms, 4 baths. And so every time she got a little extra money.
2 bedrooms, 4 baths?
4 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Oh,
I don't know if I said that.
Oh,
I might have said it backwards.
Yeah.
4 bedrooms, 2 baths. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants 2 bedrooms, 4 baths. I've seen houses like that, though.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense. But, and every time she got paid, she just, redid the kitchen floors, got a new vanity in the bathroom, did the floors, finished her basement floors, and now her house is worth, a house up the street from her sold for $289,000, and it was nowhere near as nice as hers. So what we do, put hers on the market for $310,000. She about to cash out over $100,000, and she only been in her house for 2.5 years. Where else are you gonna get money like that? And that's why they didn't let us do it for so long.
Yeah.
And the value of that house isn't based off of the value of the other surrounding houses?
It is. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's why I said when the house up the street from her sold for $289,000. So what we did at that point, she started, she always knew it wasn't going to be her forever home because she was on Greenridge Road, so she was on the main road. And so she always wanted to kind of be off of main roads. You got pets and stuff, but it was a good starter home. So when that house up the street from her sold for $289,000, we looking at the pictures and we like, oh my God, this house sold for $289,000. It's not even nowhere near as nice as your house. Your house is fully updated. So that's why you start seeing people selling houses on the street like crazy. Because somebody is sell and other people like, if theirs could sell for that, I know mine could sell for this. And the comps are high. So the appraiser's going to look at, that it can at least sell for that, but yours is better, so it can sell for more. So it does go by that. She did the work, and that one needed work. So that just kind of like shows us where we can be at. So, that's why I always tell people, like, a lot of people want to jump straight into an investment property. Don't do that. Like, don't play the short game. Play the long game. One of the things I see the most about Black people is that we want to put the cart ahead of the horse. We want the dream house. We want an instant equity. We want everything right now. We want the dream house first, but we got to be patient. We got to, because you got to think, we're doing something that we weren't allowed to do for a very, very long time. We're building stuff from the ground up. So our game is different. We don't have parents. We start late. Yeah. And so we don't have parents that can give us $20,000. I see it with some of my clients, my non-Black clients. Their parents can get them $20,000. Yeah. Luckily, I'm in a place now where I could give my daughter $20,000, but we don't see that as people. Yeah. I'm trying to change that, but the only way to do that is that I see so many clients that get pre-approved for $150,000, they won't buy a house. Because they're like, no, nope, I want this. And they'd rather stay in the house and rent and pay $1,800 a month in rent than to get this grant and get that $150,000 and live in it for a couple of years and love it a life up. Why? Because a lot of us, we want that image, right? Yeah. That's one of our downfalls as a people, is that we want that image instead of playing the long game and really letting that house work for us.
Like when you was telling me about, short game versus a long game, it reminds me of like people when we rent, right? Like we'll be so focused on how much we pay a month that we haven't seen how much money that we paid over like 10 years. Yep.
Or like the first thing he said when I came in here was, if something breaks, but we're not looking at what we done paid this daggone landlord, we done paid for that pipe to burst so many times. He don't care about giving you that fixing that for $200-$300 because you give him $1,800 a month.
But let the people know where they can find you and all that good stuff.
You can find me on Facebook. Mostly Facebook is my favorite place. Instagram, the Lupus Realtor. You can find me on TikTok.
Y'all know where y'all heard it first. NWO Order Podcast. And if you speak well, you eat well. Let's grow.
It's the NWO Order Podcast. We talk to build our culture up. We get into all that. We speak well to eat well. We giving them all back. So like, share, subscribe if you know that you pro-Black. Let's grow.